What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my spoiler review for Dexter New Blood, Episode 4, the Showtime series titled H is for Hero. I am your host, Jacob Bartley, and this is Talking Dex with Jacob Bartley. Basically, this is a show on the Bartley and Barnes YouTube channel dedicated to all things Dexter. Right now, we are solely focused on the new series, Dexter New Blood, which is the sequel series to the original 8 seasons of Dexter that stopped airing about 8 years ago. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode, joining live, whatever the case may be. Hey, Star Drew, thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. And yes, thank you. Yes, I'm wearing a San Francisco Giants t-shirt. Shout out to Buster Posey, who just recently retired, one of my favorite players of all time. But yes, we are going to talk Dexter. And look, this episode is an absolute game changer. I tweeted that. I wrote a game changer in the title of the video. Normally, in the title of the YouTube video, I just put episode 4, H is for Hero, spoiler review. This was such a game changer that I had to go in and change the title of my video to Dexter New Blood episode 4 is a game changer, exclamation point, because it is. It's absolutely insane. And this is a spoiler review, so you've been warned. If you don't want to be spoiled for this show, then you shouldn't be watching this video. But and I don't want to bury the lead, right? I can talk about I'm going to talk about everything, but I got to talk about basically what happens at the end. So I'm watching this episode, right? And it was pretty solid the whole way through. I thought it was the way it was edited kind of felt the cleanest of the first 4 episodes. Some of the other episodes felt scenes felt very sporadic, and it was like jumping and cutting a lot. This one felt like a very thorough episode, just like getting to the point but taking its time to do so. It was done really well. But anyways, the editing in the last 2 minutes of the show were incredible. They had basically Harrison at the end or at the school. They had Dexter looking through Harrison's stuff at home, and they had Clancy Brown playing Kurt Caldwell taking a girl to the cabin. So we basically get 2 or 3 revelations all at once. We find out that Harrison is maybe not exactly who he says he is and might have some darkness inside of him. I mean, it's pretty clear. And we find out that Caldwell, played by the magnificent Clancy Brown, is indeed, we think, is the man capturing these girls, playing with them, and ultimately killing them, and doing something much more worse, embalming them and all this stuff. But anyways, the big reveal, that's huge for the season, right? But the big reveal for like longtime Dexter fans is that Harrison is probably a killer. And what that means is a lot more. There's a lot more to it than just the surface level of, oh, he's a killer. No, there's a lot more to it. But basically, this episode confirms that Harrison, Dexter's son, is indeed more like Dexter than he first thought. Hey, Artie Films, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Any views, comments, clicks, likes, whatever you can do, very helpful. Yeah, so this is huge. This is one of my favorite TV moments in a while for me, because this show and this characters mean so much to me, and to have them go for it like this is big, because I think even in movies, franchises, television shows, whatever, I think the coolest ideas are shut down a lot because I think some creators, some executives, producers, whatever, they're always like, no, that's what everybody wants us to do. So let's do something different. And I think sometimes that can be cool, but sometimes you got to just give the people what they want. And this show seems like it's going to give us Dexter fans what we want, which we probably never would have. I mean, at least what I want. I can't speak for all Dexter fans, but the idea of Dexter having his son be like him, or just having the ability for Dexter to be able to be honest with his son about who he is, that is amazing for the character. And I, another huge part about this reveal at the end is, it's a long story short. I talked about this before, but Harrison's mother was killed by one of the villains in season 4 of Dexter. The villain used a straight razor on his victims, and he did that to Harrison's mother. Harrison was a baby. He was in the bathroom when it happened and basically left in her blood until Dexter came home and found him. Dexter finds a straight razor in Harrison's room, hidden in a flashlight, basically implying that he knows about his mother, he knows who killed her, how she was killed, and basically it implies that he's been killing, or at least has thought about killing, and his weapon of choice is the weapon that was used on his own mother. Crazy, right? On top of that, Dexter finds it. He's looking at it and he's talking to his sister in his head, his dead sister. And she's like, "Oh my goodness, he's just like you." And then he's holding the razor and he holds it up to his face and he's like, "He has my dark passenger." And he holds it up to his face and he's like, closes his eyes, and then he starts smiling. And the episode ends. That was done so brilliantly. So brilliantly. Yeah, that's a good point, Star Drew. I don't think so. That would be interesting, but I don't think so. I think what they're doing is, I think Harrison has a sense of justice. He has a moral code, kind of like Dexter did. The whole thing about Dexter is he only kills other killers or people that truly deserve it, and he makes sure he has 100% proof before he does it, right? So in this episode, Harrison attacks a boy at school, or he has an altercation with a boy at school who tells Harrison that he was trying to organize a school shooting, basically. So Harrison befriends the kid at school who always gets picked on. Come to find out that this kid, because of the bullying, wanted to do a mass shooting at his school. And we didn't see it, but Harrison said he found out, the kid attacked him, and then Harrison like sliced his leg, right? So back to Harrison having some type of moral code, the only reason he attacked this guy is because he probably thought he deserved it. And I don't think that Harrison would harm an innocent person, but we don't know yet. Like, the show could be totally throwing us off. I could be completely wrong, and hey, that's not where they're going with the show. But I'm pretty sure that's where we're going. There's a lot more to this. So I'm trying to keep these reviews under 30 minutes. So I'm going to talk about the things that were huge moments. First of all, Jamie Chung is amazing in this episode. And she was good in last episode, but we only got a little bit of her. Jamie Chung is amazing in this episode. This show, all the leads, Dexter, Harrison, Angela, they're all very dull. Like it's how it's supposed to be, right? They live in Iron Lake. They're all very serious, and the way they carry themselves. Jamie Chung, she plays a podcaster, a true crime podcaster. She comes in and electrifies this episode. She has so much energy, and she brings this, charisma to her that just makes it more entertaining. She's great. So I've only seen her in a few things here and there, but consider me a fan of Jamie Chung now. She was awesome. So anyways, she plays a podcaster, right? And basically she's came to see what's going on in Iron Lake. All this stuff's going on. Matt Caldwell's missing, etc. She's investigating this. Her arrival brings up that, oh, she's a podcaster. So Audrey, who is this is Angela, Dexter's girlfriend / the chief of police in Iron Lake. And she has a daughter, Audrey, who is kind of friends with Harrison. They've been getting along since he's arrived. And she's like, oh, I'll text you my top 5 favorite Molly Park podcasts. One of her podcasts is on the Trinity killer. Who's the killer who killed Harrison's mom? So right before Harrison gets attacked by the kid who was trying to organize a school shooting, who his name is Ethan. Right before that, we see Harrison listening to the podcast, and basically Molly Park is podcasting about the Trinity killer, saying how his last victim was this mother who had a baby, and the baby was in the room with them when he killed her. And Harrison's listening to it. And then right after that, this thing with Ethan happens. I don't think Harrison, flat out said, I'm just going to go attack Ethan now. I don't think that's the case. I think after he listened to this podcast, he was very upset. And then Ethan came to him and told him that he wants to organize the shooting. And that's when he attacked Ethan. Now, one of the cool other things that I have to talk about is this happens, right? We don't see it happen. Harrison tells the story. He says that the kid told him that he wanted to organize the shooting and he wanted Harrison to do it with him. Okay. Harrison's story is that Harrison said no. Ethan pulled out a knife out of his backpack, came at him, stabbed Harrison, and then they started tussling or whatever. Harrison got the knife, slashed his leg, and then Ethan started bleeding out. That's Harrison's story. So if you know Dexter, he's a blood spatter analyst. So whenever there's a crime, when he worked for Miami Metro, he would be the guy who'd go and study the blood. If there's a shooting, okay, was that person standing at this angle? If they were hit with the bullet in the shoulder, would the blood spatter on the wall like this? He would study things like that. And that's his job. That's what he's a genius at, basically. So when he sees Harrison's stab wound, he's like, wait, this doesn't match up. That doesn't look like someone attacked you and you were stabbed. And so Dexter's trying to figure it out. So he goes back to the school and studies the crime scene. And if you know the show, he talks to his dead sister, Deb, in his head, which is kind of a part of the mythology of the show. In the original series, he talked to his dead dad in his head. Now he talks to his dead sister in his head. So he goes back to the school and he basically starts looking at where the blood is and all that. I was reading the question from Star Drew. I'll get to that in a second, Star Drew. He was reading the blood and trying to figure out what happened. And basically there's 2 blood spots. There's one where it's splattered on some type of sign, and there's a pool of blood on the floor. So he's talking to Deb in his head, trying to figure this out. And he basically comes to the conclusion that Harrison slashed Ethan's leg first, and the blood went on the sign. And then Harrison stabbed himself right where the pool of blood is, and it all matches up. And Dexter's pretty good at this, so he's pretty sure of it. So that's when he goes and starts going through Harrison's stuff and finds the straight razor that's hidden inside of a flashlight. So obviously he's hiding it for a reason. Yeah, just so he won't do a massive shooting. Harrison wants to stop him. Yeah, I mean, he didn't kill the kid. The kid didn't die. I don't know if Harrison was trying to stop him or just expose him, injure him, get him in the hospital, get him exposed, and then get him locked up and put in juvie. But yeah, so how cool is Harrison's inner voice in this season? So we haven't heard a Harrison inner voice yet. I have my theories that we will. I have a huge theory on Harrison's dark passenger, which is the dark passenger is like the living force inside of Dexter that makes him have to kill. And it's kind of like why he talks to people in his head, right? Maybe. But if Harrison is a killer and he has the dark passenger, then he probably has some type of voice in his head. I have a huge theory on that, but I can't talk about it because it involves a future spoiler that I had spoiled for me. So I'm not going to talk about it. But once it comes up, if it comes up, or if it doesn't come up by the end of the season, I'll say what that was and whether I was right or wrong about it. And it's pretty cool. But I don't know if it's right though. I don't know if it's right. But so we haven't had so far through episode 4. There hasn't been, because Dexter talks in his head a lot. So when he's talking to somebody, we hear Dexter talking in his head, and it's kind of like quirky, witty dialogue that he's saying in his head, right? Harrison hasn't done that yet, but I don't know if we'll get like full on Harrison talking to himself. But I do think that Harrison has a dark passenger and that he talks to somebody in his head, just like Dexter talked to his dad and now his sister. So that could be pretty cool. But yeah, this episode was excellent. I had heard that they released the first 4 episodes to the press, and that anybody who got those and did reviews on them had seen the first 4 episodes. That makes a lot of sense because the end of episode 4 is what this season is going to be ultimately about. The first 3 episodes are a cool setup. It actually really good setup, because they make you think that, it's all going to be about the search for Matt Caldwell and Kirk Caldwell figuring out who killed his son. But no, we got this whole conspiracy with the missing girls, which we'll talk more about in a second. But also we have the whole thing with Harrison also being a killer. And I got to emphasize Dexter smiling at the end, because that's the game changer right there, is that he finds the straight razor in his son's stuff. Again, the weapon of choice of the serial killer who killed his mother, he now uses that weapon. So, and the Trinity killer who killed Harrison's mother just killed innocent people. He had no moral code, nothing. I don't think Harrison's like that. I think Harrison has a moral code, just to make that clear. Because if he didn't, then this show would be heading in a completely different direction, which would be Dexter trying to maybe having to take him out, because Dexter's not cool with innocent people being killed. Yeah. So anyways, like that normally in a situation like if this was normal parent, a normal father, like regular guy, he finds out his son is a killer, you freak out, right? Like, oh my goodness, we got to do something about it, or he'd be angry or something. Dexter, like you got to see his face. He looks like, oh my god, like I can't believe I just figured this out, like shock, and then he starts to smile. It's he has joy because basically Dexter struggles with being honest with people and being emotional with people. When somebody doesn't know who he truly is, and throughout the original series, there were several people who ended up finding out that Dexter is a killer, and he was able to be honest with them. He had girlfriends, uh, friends, partners, whatever the case is, a good handful or more of people that he got to, once they found out what he was able to be truly honest with them and communicate with them and be himself. And basically, if someone doesn't know who he truly is, he's putting on an act, right? So this whole time since his son has shown up, he's been putting on an act because he has to pretend like he's a normal guy who's not a killer, right? But now if his son really is a killer like him, he can be himself with his son. So that's the important part. So it's not that, and funny scene, one of my favorite scenes in this episode is when they go back to this he goes back to the school and Deb's talking to him in his head and she's like, "You would love it if he was a serial killer so you can have your little serial killer family." And there's part of it has to do with that. Like, of course, the idea of, hey, maybe Dexter and his son taking out some bad guys together, which I think we're going to get in this season. Maybe the idea of that's cool to Dexter, but I think the reason more so why he's so happy about this is that he can be honest, he can be himself with his son. And at least he's hoping that's what this leads to. So Stardrew says, oh, 7 years of psychotherapy, voice in Harrison head voice. So that is why he hurt himself to keep it level or clear head. Yeah, maybe that's possible. Yeah, definitely. You never know. This is like they just revealed this to us. So like it can go either way. It can be a bait and switch, honestly. It could be like, oh, we're messing with you. You guys thought Harrison was a killer. Nope, we just threw that in to throw you guys off. That's possible, but I don't think that's the case. I think that we're definitely going to see this all kind of come to fruition. Now, I talked a lot about Dexter and a lot about Harrison. I want to talk about Kirk Caldwell. So we know Matt Caldwell went missing in episode 1, aka Dexter killed Matt Caldwell, this crazy, wild guy who was very dangerous to everybody around him. Dexter decided he had to go. And it was the first kill for Dexter in 10 years, ever since he killed his last guy he killed was the guy who killed his sister. I guess he technically killed Deb, but she was on life support and he unplugged the machine. But whatever. He hasn't killed in 10 years. And he kills this guy, Matt Caldwell. His dad, Kirk Caldwell, who is a big contributor to the town, supports a lot of people. Everybody knows him, loves him, and played by Clancy Brown. He basically he's looking for his son. He motivates the town and the police to keep looking for his son. But then at the end of last episode, he pretends that he saw his son and FaceTimed with him. Now, this is fishy because we know he's dead. His son is dead. So he does this to throw off the cops and stop the search for his son. Because if they continue searching the town, the mountains further out, they're going to find his little cabin where he holds women hostage and kills them and does some other crazy stuff to them, which I'm sure we'll find out later on in the season. So in this episode, Harrison is viewed as a hero after he stops the kid from possibly doing his mass shooting or whatever, right? So Kurt shows up to Dexter and Harrison's house to say thank you to Harrison and gives him a gift, gives him a drone. Harrison leaves, and now he's talking to Dexter, right? And they're talking about their sons, and Kurt's saying how, wow, you must be so proud of your son. He's a hero. Like, my son is he's a messed up kid. He's a bad guy. Like, I'm a bad father. I raised a bad kid. And there was a boat accident where his kid killed some people, which was thought to be an accident and was thought that he wasn't driving. But Dexter says, and they never talked about this before, but Matt's saying, or Kurt is saying, oh, my son Matt is a mess up, right? And Dexter's like, oh, well, you know, when he was driving that boat, I'm sure he didn't mean to. It was an accident. And then Kurt's like, he wasn't driving the boat. How'd you know that? And then Dexter's like, oh, I mean, I thought somebody else mentioned it before at the police station. And now, so Kurt basically unintentionally came upon a clue on who possibly could have hurt his son. And Dexter even says, that guy is fishing and I just nibbled. So basically implying that Kurt's kind of looking for any clue to where his son might have been. And now Dexter just gave away that he knew that his son was driving the boat in that boat accident and purposefully killed 5 people. So if Kurt is narrowing down who might have killed my son, it has to be the guy. One of the candidates has to be the guy who knew that Matt is not a good guy and killed some people. So I think eventually that's going to click in Kurt's head and he's going to realize that possibly Dexter had something to do with this. There was a lot more that happened in this episode, little details here and there. Obviously Kurt meets another girl. So we find out kind of how he meets these girls. He owns a restaurant, and the everyone who passing through town, kind of traveling on their own, maybe even runaways from other towns, they always end up coming through his restaurant. And he meets this young girl who kind of needs some help. And it's revealed at the end that he takes her to the same cabin that we saw last episode of another girl who was trapped and then released and then shot, right? And then, had her blood taken out and then her body embalmed. So we'll see what's going on with that. But that was kind of huge. We kind of got to see his routine in a little. And again, the editing of the last minute or so of the episode was incredible because there was an assembly at the school to kind of talk about the shooting, right? Just with the kids who were on Ethan's kill list. And Harrison was there. And Harrison's giving this speech. And he's like, look, I guess we all have 2 sides to us, the good side and the monster side. And it's all about which side wins out in the end. And as he's giving this speech, it's cutting to Clancy Brown taking the girl to the cabin, showing that, oh, Clancy Brown, Kurt Caldwell, he's a monster and a good guy because he does a lot of good stuff for the town. Dexter's a monster and a good guy. Harrison is potentially a monster and a good guy. And at the same time, while those 2 scenes are cutting in, we see Dexter find the straight razor and then the episode ends. So brilliant, best episode so far. I think for a reason they knew this first 4 episodes was kind of an arc, and now we're going into kind of the middle, the second arc of the season, and I can't freaking wait. Hey Gio, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. But yes, excellent episode. You can tell if you watch my all 4 reviews, First episode, I was absolutely blown away. I loved the premiere. This next 2 episodes were cool, but they were kind of like setting stuff up, and I wasn't blown away by them, but they were good. This episode blew me away. So freaking happy. Cannot wait until the next episode. So let me know in the comment section what you think. What are your theories? Did you like the episode as much as I did? Did you not? Did you think it didn't work for any reason? Let me know in the comment section. Again, I'm Jacob Bartley, and this is Talking Dex, and we are reviewing every week. We're going to talk Dexter New Blood every Monday at 10 a.m. If you are a fan of Dexter, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Bartley and Barnes. I will be covering all Dexter content on this YouTube channel. And we also do the main show, the Bartley and Barnes show, where we talk about movies every month. So subscribe, listen. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. RD Films, Star Drew, Geo, you guys are awesome. Thank you again. I'll see you next time.